People think that motorhoming is a cheap option for travel. It isn't.
Stop. At this point, you might be thinking of leaving the video.
But don't stay, because we're going to share with you our costs of running our motorhome over a 12-month period of time. Drop your costs into the comments. It helps others who are thinking of buying.
So don't forget to like and subscribe, add your comments, and we hope you enjoy the video.
We spend around 90 nights a year away in our motorhome.
Last year, we spent 4 months touring Scandinavia and Eastern Europe. In essence, motorhoming is a lifestyle choice. What it's not.
It's not a money-saving hack.
No. So let's jump straight into those costs then. Insurance. Our insurance comes out at approximately £900 per year.
Yes, that's partly because of the type of van we've got and partly because of our claims history.
For a vehicle that we're in with an extremely high value, I don't actually think that that's a great deal of money when I compare it to what I pay for my Tesla, which is actually more and half the value.
Yeah.
Less than half the value.
And you can't go to the toilet in the Tesla.
That's what she thinks. MOT and servicing.
Yeah.
MOT and servicing, we spend approximately £400 a year on MOT and servicing.
Yeah, on an average year.
That's just the engine base. I did do a video where last year, prior to going on our Scandinavian trip, our motorhome had to have a big service. That came in at £1,400. Breakdown cover. Make sure you've got good breakdown cover, especially if you're touring the EU. Our insurance covers our breakdown cover.
It's included in our cost, yes.
Add on £165 for road tax for our vehicle. Gosh, I miss those little round discs.
Storage. If you're lucky like us, you can store your motorhome on your driveway.
Yeah.
So that doesn't cost anything for us to do that at all. And it's always here and it's always handy because I can nip in and get the tomato ketchup when we run out. However, if you do need to store a motorhome, that's additional costs. We have friends that store motorhomes. Some of them pay as little as 50 quid. Some of them pay up to £200 a month. That's just an added cost that you're going to have to consider if you can't keep your motorhome on your drive.
Therefore, before we've even turned the wheel, the cost is approximately £1,700 per year.
Depreciation.
Yes, often used by accountants to work things out. You can choose to take depreciation into your figures or you can choose to just ignore it. At the end of the day, it's your motorhome, it's your enjoyment, it's your hobby, it's your lifestyle. Does it matter if it's depreciating?
This is the big one. Cost per night. How much does it cost to stay away per night?
It can vary enormously. I would say that our average cost, if we look at our total night,
is probably around about £25 per night.
Typically, a European night's
probably nearer to £20.
Yeah, a lot more places to stay in Europe, lot more airs to stay at, a lot more free parking. Motorhome team is far more tolerated in most European countries. Not all. The reality of having a motorhome, people think you can just pull up anywhere, get your awning out, sit down in a lay-by somewhere, and you're wild camping. Yeah, some people choose to do that. It's not our cup of tea.
No, and it's generally not quite that easy, is it? Running costs, the silent drain, the things that you don't necessarily think about. Obviously, fuel is the main one that springs to mind.
Yeah, I feel you, buddy. This is getting painful.
Fuel prices can vary enormously in the UK and abroad, and your MPG can make a big difference to your fuel costs. Depends how you drive, depends what you drive.
We achieve 23 to the gallon. That's it.
Yeah.
So if you base your possible costs on anywhere between 23 and 30 to the gallon, you're going to have some idea where you're going to be. Yeah. But fuel is probably the biggest cost of touring in a motorhome.
Yeah. Gas. Obviously, elements in the motorhome run on gas. So you're going to need your gas, either your bottles or your LPG if you're on a refillable system.
We're on a refillable system. And again, we have seen the price of gas skyrocket.
Yes.
charging £1.10, £1.15 a litre, whereas we were used to paying 60p a litre.
Yeah.
And interestingly, when we were abroad, especially when we were touring Scandinavia, when we were finding LPG, it was really cheap.
It was, yeah. Another big one when you're touring abroad are your tolls and your ferry crossings.
Ouch.
Yes. So tolls, again, it depends how quickly you want to get somewhere as to whether you use the toll roads or whether you can use non-toll roads. Different countries have different rates. Bigger vehicles pay bigger tolls. And of course, also on your ferries, motorhomes cost more than a car will do on a crossing.
So that is to take into consideration. Generally, to go to the continent, it costs us approximately £300 to £350 for a return ferry trip.
Yeah.
And that's in a motorhome this size. One other thing just about tolls. If we weren't working, there's no two ways about it. We wouldn't use toll roads.
No, unless it was absolutely essential.
So figure that cost into where you are in your life and your motorhome journey.
Yeah. Another cost you need to consider is general wear and tear. Hopefully little jobs, not big jobs that need fixing. But it's a motorhome, it's a home on wheels, it gets shaken about a lot. Things come loose, things need to be reattached, things break.
Now, when we were talking about servicing costs earlier, I deliberately never mentioned the habitation service because I don't get a habitation service done. I do it myself. The biggest investment you can make if you've got a motorhome is a toolbox. So how does it compare having a motorhome to going away in hotels?
I think you have a lot more freedom in a motorhome. I think hotel rooms are bigger than a motorhome. You don't have to empty toilets. You get room service in a hotel with nice warm fluffy towels. But then you don't get that same travel experience that you get in the motorhome. You don't always get the location with a hotel that you can get in a motorhome.
This is if we never had a motorhome, we would not do 90 days away in a
No.
hotel. But comparison wise, cost wise, it's probably cheaper in a hotel.
I think that's relative to how many nights away you can do in the motorhome in a year.
A comparison to do would be our recent ski trip where we done 18 nights away at a resort in Montgenèvre. The whole of that trip, getting there, ski passes, cooking, we come back at £1,800.
Yeah.
Okay, we're only in resort 10 days. I only skied 4 days because I like to do lots of other things. So 4 days worth of lift passes, £1,800. Fuel, everything. So if you do that comparison yourself, remember it was over Christmas and New Year as
Yeah.
well, then that would give you some indication of what would be cheaper.
Yeah.
But having come back, we're now going skiing again. So if you've gone skiing in your hotel,
Mhm.
you probably wouldn't go back. But because we've got the motorhome, we're off we're off again. So if you're doing this to save money,
Don't.
if you're doing this for freedom,
Absolutely. It's a great way to travel. And from the moment you leave your drive, you're on holiday.
so who is motorhome for? Well, motorhoming's for anyone, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. If you don't like planning, buy a smaller motorhome. If you don't mind planning, buy a bigger motorhome.
You don't always have to plan with a motorhome. That's the beauty of it. You can say, I fancy going to this region. It's a fairly quiet time of year. I know there's a few campsites or there's a few park up spots, and you can just go. You don't need to plan. But I also know people who like to know where they're going to be staying that night, and it would really sort of freak them out going somewhere without knowing where they're going to be able to stay.
People who want luxury for cheap, yeah. A hotel is always going to be nicer. A nice hotel is always going to be
Yeah.
nicer. Yeah, someone's going to come in and do your sheets for you. Someone's going to change your towels for you. You don't have to empty your toilet, drain water, etc., etc. But even taking that all into consideration, I'd rather a motorhome over a hotel any day. People who stress about unpredictability, if you get stressed by unpredictability, don't get a motorhome, because when you're traveling in a motorhome, things change.
Yeah. And your ideas change. You see a signpost and you say, oh, that looks interesting.
We once ended up in Hungary, Budapest, because we were driving to Prague, and when we got near to Prague, we saw another sign that said Bratislava. 180 kilometres. We thought, well, that's not far. We'll carry on to. And then when we nearly got to Bratislava, we saw a sign that said Budapest, 230 kilometres or whatever. And we thought, well, that won't take long. We'll carry on there. We then had 2 days to get all the way from Budapest.
You had a really long drive home.
That's being unpredictable. We are unpredictable people.
Yeah.
So because we're unpredictable, motorhoming suits us fine. Here's the real question. What would we have spent on hotels, flights, package holidays, weekend breaks? Because for us, this isn't just transport. It's our accommodation. It's our kitchen. It's our view. But most of all, it's our freedom.
Some people will look at that number and think, that's mad. But for us, it's worth every penny, because this is what it buys. If you're thinking about this life, at least now you've got some real numbers to work from, and that's all we ever try to give you. Don't forget to drop your costs into the comments. Well, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed that and got something from it, and we may see you on the road soon.